Right, hello, and welcome to Flogging It. Gentlemen, we have made it to week 3. Who would have thunk it? I don't think at the start of this we were all a bit worried, but we've had some amazing feedback from friends and people who have listened to the podcast, which is amazing. Keep them coming, positive or negative. Absolutely let us know what you want from this, what you think, how you think we're doing, etc. But yeah, ideas from and engagement from you guys, our audience, are massive for us. So yeah, well, all feedback welcomed. Gents, how are you? Simon, first, how are you this week?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you, mate. I'd like to echo your comments. Thanks for the all the feedback we've been getting. It's been really good, and a massive thanks to Max and Toby for the first 2 episodes. They were belting guests, and eased us in nicely. The best way to get involved with stuff is to be eased in nicely, and I think they did that for us.
Brilliant. Eugene, how are you, bud?
I'm good, thanks. And you, Jono. And yes, I promise you, I do exist. I have been told by a number of people if I have been part of the podcast. Yeah, I have been in the background, just I suppose making sure that the first 2 went well. And yeah, I'm happy to be on one that I'm going to contribute. Hopefully a little bit, not too much, but not too little.
Quietly listening like a dad who just claims to be resting his eyes in the background when we know he's all actually asleep. But yes, you will be hearing a lot more from Eugene tonight. On the feedback thing, actually, guys, I think it's worth mentioning that some of the feedback that we had, that obviously people wanted to hear a little bit more from you two, which is great, and we're going to play around with a slightly different format moving forward. It won't be the same every week, just based on who we've got on, but I think, certainly moving forward, careful what you wish for, because these two now are going to form a far bigger part of what
Going to
we
let
are
loose.
Unleashed. We've been unleashed.
He's going to start saying things like samosa more often. It's all going to go sideways. Hi, Becky. So that was Simon's wife. Just came into
That
say
was
hello.
my wife. Yeah, she's gone to collect the click and collect shopping order, which is nice of her.
Well timed.
The reason that I know that, and I was going to say this later on, but as well as being available across all the popular podcast platforms, not that easy to say. I'm no wonder you want me to do it every week, you two. We do have popular.
You're a professional presenter, John.
Yeah, all right. Professional something. I'm not sure presenters what it is. But we do have a Slogging It YouTube channel. So where you can go, and all of the interviews that we do and all the podcasts are available, brilliantly put together by Mr. Eugene Berger. And so, yeah, they are edited down. So just as listening to it on a podcast platform, you can watch our podcast on YouTube. So search that out.
For anyone that's for anyone that is interested in what is behind Jono, his wife hasn't kicked him out. He's not recording from the external of his house. He is actually having some renovations done. And he did his first bit of manual labour today. We need to give him a bit of a clap for that. He's done well.
Did you get that video, Si, that he sent across? Did you get the video that he sent? Right, no, I'll send it to you later.
Yeah, I was in a right old state. Now, I was thinking that maybe that could be one of our social media posts, as me having done manual labour for the first time in my life. Stripping like 80-year-old plaster off a wall, and the walls of an entire room is not easy, but Jesus, is it messy. Christ, I've been picking dust out my nose in the shower. It's been unbelievable. Like, my nose turned into like full of cement. It was awful.
To any plasterers listening, this is what you call mourning.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So funnily enough, our plasterer came in today, and he fully plastered a room 3 times the size of the room that I took some old, kind of slightly rotten plaster off. So I'm not quite there yet. I will not be having a career change into something that men do. I'm quite happy being a bit like metro, and I'm proud of it. That's all good. In today's modern world, that is perfectly plausible way to be. So, gents, we are now going to start talking about this week in the news. So, we're going to talk a bit about cricket, but but there are other things obviously that have gone on, so people won't quite understand this. So we don't record these week by week. We record them as and when we're all available, when guests are available. So a couple of things that we want to cover off. Obviously, the American election. Trump refusing to leave the White House. I saw the funniest tweet from Eddie Pepperell. So obviously, with Donald claiming not to have lost the election or what have you, and we're not trying to be too political, but Eddie Pepperell's tweet said, "In 2019, I was 1 under through 2. Tiger stole my jacket." Which, and this in direct response to one of Donald Trump's tweets, which I just thought was brilliant. And you know, people are making light of it. You know, it's a big situation for not only America but the world. Shane Watson's retired. What do we think?
No, I got told that you only believe 50% of what you read on social media. And the 2 items I've read this week were Shane Watson saying that he's retiring. And I thought, well, let's face it, he's going to be reviewing that within 15 seconds anyway. So, and the other one was Donald Trump saying, "I've won this election by a lot." So I nearly wore, like, to feel like I don't want to alienate people. Like, I was trying to appeal to the group of our friends across the Atlantic. I nearly wore a Donald Trump T-shirt today. But apparently that was also untrue. And the 50% one was that Shane Watson is retiring. He's not reviewed it. So, plus my wife said to me, "You can't wear a Donald Trump T-shirt on YouTube." She obviously thinks we're doing better, because her theory was that someone might take a photograph of it and use it against me. I mean, I don't know where she thinks this is going, but hey, so I changed my T-shirt anyway because I don't want to fall out with her. Who does?
Yeah, fair. Huge.
I was gonna say something. Yeah, something down the similar lines. I was going to ask if Donald Trump was going to review the decision Shane Watson style. I thought there was a bit of irony in the two of them departing in similar terms.
Do we think that the elite umpires panel now are starting to scrap around for like jobs down the greengrocers because DRS is no longer going to be in as much use as it would have been while Shane was still playing?
Yeah, is the 4th umpire still required? That is or 3rd. I don't know what number it is now that deals with it. There seem to be 1 calls. I mean, they do everything now, don't they? There seems to have 74 of them. A match referee, he's a free spectator, isn't he? Let's face it. Especially when Brody's dad, he can get free tickets.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to be. Like, I mean, but no, I think they're going to send it back down to 1 review per innings now. Not to be renewed. I don't know why they don't renew it after 80 overs anyway. Shane Watson was already out before that.
Yeah,
the majority of the time anyway, so he wasn't going to be using it twice. But yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
With DRS.
Who do you think is going to take over the mantle of Shane Watson in modern day cricket?
Warner.
Has to be another Aussie, right?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, I mean, I think the funny thing about Shane Watson is obviously he copped it loads, didn't he? Yeah, through memes like 4 or 5 years ago from all the reviews and that. I wonder if he ever thought that those memes would resurface on the base of a US presidential election. You know, he's all of a sudden he's like, you know, he must be hating life. England versus South Africa. The lads are flying out in a few days' time. I think all 3 of us are excited about that. Obviously, Eugene will be kind of looking at it from one side, Simon and I probably from the other, but that's something that we will be talking about as the podcast progress. Just a little
I think they
update.
arrived today, Jono.
Oh, they're there already, are they? Right.
They arrived today. I saw a post from Ben Stokes with one of those swabs stuck down his nose. Testing for COVID. I think they've got to do that isolation thing.
I wonder if he's gone straight from Dubai. I was talking to someone who sponsored Jason Roy earlier, and I think he said that they were going out in a few days' time. So it may be a case of going from Dubai versus coming flying from England. But they're all going to arrive in the next few days, and we're all very excited about. Look, it's always brilliant to watch cricket in South Africa, I think. I've been lucky enough. I've been to the last 2 England tests at Newlands, 2016 and earlier this year. If there is a more beautiful place in the world to spectate or to watch or to play cricket, I think you'd be far-fetched to find it. Eugene, I think you've played there?
Haven't played there. I was there in February, though. I
wasn't sure if you guys had a game there, but that's something we can talk about on a different day. the IPL came to a close, didn't it, a few days ago? I mean, Mumbai Indians, they're on a completely different level to the rest of them, right?
It's a joke, really, isn't it? Like I mean, for a start with the IPL, if you've got an English lad in your side, you're not going to do very well. I mean, we might have the best one-day team in the world, but we don't perform overly well in that. Or the teams that our lads are playing for certainly don't. I think the teams with the majority of English. Well, certainly like Rajasthan have got 3 English lads as overseas, and they finished bottom. The one that Sam Curran plays for finished second bottom. I think Chris Jordan's side finished third bottom. So, I mean, if anyone's English and looking for a contract in the IPL, probably struggling for next year.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
MVP? You're forgetting about the MVP and Geoffrey Archer. He was he was the best player in the whole tournament. So, I think Owen Morgan performed very well.
He was the best player, but he finished bottom.
I think a lot of where Rajasthan struggled a little bit this year. I mean, they missed Ben Stokes for the first half of the tournament, didn't they? And I think obviously he's going to be such a key player in any global cricket side that, obviously we all know the reasons why. His dad's incredibly ill, and so he was in New Zealand for that. Obviously we wish Jed well, I don't. It's certainly not a reflection on the English lads as to why these teams maybe didn't do so well. I think Owen Morgan, I thought it was really interesting that I think Dinesh Karthik started the tournament as the captain of Kolkata Knight Riders, who are now not only an IPL franchise but a global franchise. They have the Trimbago Knight Riders, don't they, in the CPL, and obviously then Owen took over as the captain for it must have been the second half of the tournament. I don't know the exact reasons for that, but it just is another absolute show of strength as to his ability as a captain, not only on field but off field, tactically and what have you. And I think we have to congratulate the England captain on another fine tournament as captain. Yes, they fell short of the knockout stages, but he absolutely does us proud.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the reason they sacked him as captain is because they refused to have a guy who kept wicket in short sleeves as captain, which everybody knows is fundamental, should be against the laws. I noticed one thing from the interview the other way with Toby, by the way. He said rules. I know, not that, I mean, we've had a few listeners, but I'm sure some people would have picked up on that with the slightly cricket badger nature of the people that we're going to be appealing to. And yes, we do know they're called laws. We didn't feel the need to correct him because it was our first show. So,
yeah, you can say what you want.
Yeah, basically. But no, I still think the reason that Dinesh Karthik stepped down as captain, he definitely. I mean, to be fair, you can't blame him. It's hot in Dubai as well. I appreciate that the long sleeve might not have been a go-to, but I personally think that's no excuse. And there ought to be a 6-run per over of your keeper wearing short sleeve penalty. Should that happen? I think.
I don't think anybody in global cricket anywhere, other than Dinesh Karthik, will disagree with that statement, Simon. And funnily enough, talking of wicket keepers, there is a man who's a great friend of mine. I played with him at Wimbledon, a lad by the name of Tom Morris, who is now a Fox Sports commentator and broadcaster in Australia, who is going to be coming on periodically to talk to us about the views on the cricketing world from Australia, which is great for the podcast because then it opens up. Obviously, India are in Australia at the moment, so we'll hear from him in the next few weeks about what's going on with that. And his story, he's got English grandparents, and so there's some English heritage in there and stuff. But yeah, he's a fantastic bloke, and we can't wait to get him on.
Well, we're definitely going to have to get him on for the. We're definitely going to have to get him on for the BBL then. You're talking about 100%. The amount of English players in the IPL.
Yeah.
How many people are going to the Big Bash? It's half of the English counties.
Everyone but Australians, isn't it? There isn't an Australian playing in the Big Bash at the minute. I don't think,
especially as they increase their overseas players to, I think it's 4 now. So they have one more than they used to have. So it'd be great to get him on, John, and maybe we can get him on into one of the games while he's at a game, and talking through it. We can maybe do a pod from there.
So, talking of that, he is that bloke that just gets lucky and is in the right place at the right time. Last year in the BBL, he was commentating from the sidelines, someone hit a 6 and he caught it one-handed on the boundary.
Oh, is that him?
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Okay.
Tom.
Yeah.
That's Tom. Yeah. So no, look, he's an absolute champion. He's a great bloke. Very, very funny. He can talk for days about the game. Very, very knowledgeable. So yeah, we're very, very excited about getting Tom Morris on to do some bits and pieces with us. Guys, you will remember, I didn't mention it last week, but they certainly did the week with Toby. Our charity partner for Slogging It, and a huge part of why we're trying to do this is to drive revenue to the Lord's Taverners, an amazing cricketing charity whose main focus is to give all children a sporting chance, no matter their circumstances. There is that text number, which is 70331. You can text TAVS11, that is TAVS11, to 70331 to donate £3 to what is a phenomenal charity, one that the three of us are incredibly close to. Please make sure that you're at least 16, and please make sure that you have the bill payer's permission to make that donation before you do that. And on that, here's a note from the Lord's Taverners.
The Lord's Taverners is the UK's leading youth cricket and disability sports charity. We break down barriers and empower disadvantaged and disabled young people to fulfil their potential and build life skills. Our cricket programmes support some of the most marginalised and at-risk young people in the UK, using sport and recreation to build links and encouraging groups to play sport together. We tackle issues such as knife crime, unemployment, radicalisation and also isolation, something we are all feeling right now. Last year, our programmes impacted the lives of more than 12,000 young people, and with your support will help even more in the future. Find out more and make a donation at lordstaverners.org and help us to continue our life-changing work. Thank you.
So yeah, thanks again to the Lord's Taverners. Very, very proud to be partnering with them and supporting them as our charity organisation. This week's guest is our very own Simon Roberts. Simon, we will be talking to about his desire to become a professional cricketer, and when that didn't come to pass for a number of different reasons. The battles that he then faced off the back of that. So, Si, thank you very, very much for agreeing to do this. Obviously, you're a big part of why this entire podcast has come about, and in terms of what we want to do to try and highlight certain issues. We're going to cover off some pretty tough stuff. I really want to start at the present day, then we'll swing back towards your career and cricket and stuff, and then we'll then come back to present day at the end, I guess. So, first of all, really keen to find out how you're feeling. What caused you to seek help? Talking to people, and give us a little bit of an idea as to kind of what the issues were that you were battling with before you decided to get that help.
Yeah. First part, I'm really good at the minute. Over the last sort of 4, 5, 6 months, I've began to start looking at what I did achieve in cricket, which some people might. It's weird, isn't it, when you talk about what you've achieved in cricket? You look at, some people might say, well, you didn't play for England, you didn't do this. Well, I didn't. But I did do quite a lot within cricket. So I'm starting to look back at that with a sense of pride now, with a sense of achievement, which is a good start, rather than a sense of resentment, which is what I used to have. So I made a lot of fond memories in doing what I did in cricket, and that I'm now remembering those as good things. I'm looking back and I'm going through social media and I'm seeing the people I used to play with, and I don't look at them back at them going, oh, that was the person I met when I was doing this, or doing that. Is that, oh yeah, that was the person I met when I was doing this. And so it's started changing. Really, really good. I realised in terms of getting help, everyone says just talk, and it's easy, but there's normally a trigger. Everyone's got their own trigger. It can be internal or external. Mine was a conversation I had with my wife, and where I realised I needed to speak to someone about what had gone off, how it had affected me, like where I was at, I felt, and how I can move forward. And I'm fortunate enough to work for a company that have an employee assistance program that I rang up, and one of their links is with the Samaritans, and they put me in touch with a counsellor, and she was amazing. I started feeling better from session 1, and it just over the next sort of 2 or 3 months from when I started to go to see her, I started developing a plan. I had a routine. Planning a routine, sorry, and a process that I could go through that I knew I could help myself out.
So, I mean, obviously, the kind of help that you sought was professional, but just there are other options. We would always encourage people to talk to friends or family if that's something that they feel more comfortable doing. But obviously, there are these professional outlets there for help. In terms of people who are battling depression, mental issues, what would you say to them about reaching out for that help? Like, obviously, you say that it was a conversation with your wife that that drove you to do it, I guess. What would you say to these people who are maybe kind of having tough times at the minute, and the options that are available to them?
It's the age old adage, easy for me to say, that you just talk to someone, and it's dead easy for everyone to say, but it does help. It massively. You'll realise that everybody has got stuff going on, and whether it's arguments with family or whatever it is, and you just have to find something that you can relate to within that and sharing that thing. I mean, I know some people, one of the things I struggled with, for example, was you have all these people famous. I mean, say cricketers, for an example. You saw Andrew Flintoff, Steve Harmison, Marcus Trescothick going on telly, and that is amazing. That is amazing. What they do is sensational, and it's not taken away from that. But me, as someone that was going through the same or a similar thing, none of this is ever the same. What I go through was different to what somebody else might go through, and it's always different. So that's why finding one thing to say is always difficult. But I couldn't relate to that. My dream was to go and play 100 test matches, to score hundreds and 50s and travel the world playing cricket. I did a bit of traveling and I did okay, but I didn't get that. So I found that so hard to relate to. But the more people talk, the people I'd like to speak to is the friends of that person, is the family of that person, and just put your arm around him. And if you think someone's struggling, just go, "Are you all right?" Like,
yeah.
What's the worst? The worst I can say is fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean, how long did you go through this on your own, Forsyth? I mean, is this been a number of years, or
so I got released from the final year of my contract in 2007, and I got help in the start of 2020. So there's been ups and downs within that. There's been all sorts, but I'd say I probably was dealing with stuff from mid 2006.
So a good long time though, yeah.
Yeah. A long time. And and that's one of the biggest problems is you think you've got it nailed. You think like, I thought, oh my God, I'm a superhero. Like I've managed to beat mental illness or depression or whatever it was. But you have, don't, you think you have, but
Yeah, absolutely.
one of the things is that you're always going to have it. It's like an allergy.
You are.
It's like people who get hay fever. You know you're going to have it, but you've come up with a coping mechanism, or you take your whatever he took in Hitch when his face swelled up, or like you take your stuff, and you never quite know in the year when it's going to come out, but you know you're going to have it. So it's just a case of keep moving forward. And that was the thing. What the sessions we talked about with Natalie was like, how do you create a coping mechanism? How do you recognize it? How do you know when it's coming? And that is when you see so much progression.
So talking about those sessions, and where you've got to and how you've got there. I mean, would you say now that you're fully recovered, or are you still on the road to recovery? Is this a process that you have to go through for, is it months? Is it a year? Is it, what is your ideas that you're currently working to?
I don't think I'm quite pessimistic. Although that has changed recently. My wife has said, I've noticed you being more and more positive, which is a good thing. Which is, I'm taking it when we were talking about this the other day, and she went, "Make sure you mention you are a lot more positive." But I've still got the odd thing where I can be a bit pessimistic. And so I don't. Like I say, I think for me, it's like I've got an allergy or a regular thing. It's like I have to take on Meprazole because I've got stomach ulcers. They're there. I have to deal with it. And I just think this is something that I've now got the tools to be able to manage. I don't think I'll ever be cured, in inverted commas, because I can never really be confident enough to say that. But what I do know now is I've got every tool I need to notice when it's coming, to be able to manage it, and to be able to sit there and go, no, okay, whether it's the fact I'll go and play a round of golf with you guys and we have a chat, or whether it's I'll go and talk to the wife, or I can go through the process. I've got my priority list. I've got everything else that I work everything to. And I sit and go, right, okay, this. I know this works. I know this will reset me, and it will mean that I don't ever get to the point again that I know we're going to come on to later, but I'll never, ever get near that.
Ever. That's great to hear, mate. That's really good to hear.
So that's yeah.
So Si, we don't need to go through your entire playing career, but like talk to us about the setup, the size that you went through, and then ultimately, what led you to not fulfilling your dream.
Yeah, I played basically Notts age group cricket from 11 to 19. I didn't get in the first year of this academy setup started. I didn't get into it. Then at that point, like the dream kind of went to one side. I thought, well, if I can't get into an academy, I'm like, it's not real. So I kind of went, okay, that's fine, and started looking at the academic route and was going to become an accountant. And I went for playing a boring sports, trying to have a boring job. But yeah, so from there, like after when I turned sort of 19, I grew a bit. I got a bit stronger and started bowling a bit quicker, and got asked to play for the second team. Got asked to play a bit of minor counties for Herefordshire down there. Did really well for them, and then started getting offered or invited for trials at a couple of different counties: Northants, Worcester. Did full pre-season at Northants, which is where kind of the bug bit me again. And being involved in that environment was incredible. Basically, being surrounded by 20, 25 other blokes running around, absolutely hammering yourself, was heaven, if I'm honest. And just having a laugh and a joke while you're doing it. But that didn't work out. And then the year after, I got signed by the MCC Young Cricketers. And yeah, like it's people who might know the MCC Young Cricketers. It's had people like Ian Botham, Mark Waugh, David Milan, Darren Sammy. It's had a whole host of international cricketers. Most of the Ireland squad were on it with me. So it's Kevin O'Brien, Will Porterfield, Gary Wilson. They were on that kind of staff with me. And you were basically a professional cricketer. You got paid peanuts, but you worked at Lords, and you played in the second 11 county championship. You played in the second 11 one-day trophy. You also got to work at Lords. So my first year was 2005. Not a bad year to be a professional cricketer, if I'm honest. 2005. Sat there in the first test match at Lords, day before Steve Harmison hit Ricky Ponting in the face. I hit Ricky Ponting in the face. Like you just
hold on. You can't just leave that there. You hit Ricky Ponting in the face.
Yeah, but where did the next one go? That's what I want
to know. Jono, this is a positive story. It's a positive story, Jono.
No, the next ball's not a positive story.
No, the next one went positively minus. No, so we on the MCC Young Cricket, it's basically what you do. The international sides come over and you bowl them in nets. It happens all counties, but when you're doing it at Lords and everything else, it's quite a special feeling, to be honest. You get a couple of thousand people watching you every morning, coming in and you're netting and you're stood there. And I'm rocking and bowling at Gilchrist, Ponting, Hayden, Langer, all these guys. So Ricky Ponting walks out to bat in the net and he's having a bat. And the nets at Lords were quick. And I was okay at the time. I had half a yard. And I bowled one just short of a length that Ricky Ponting, and it bounced a bit more, and it flicked the top of his glove and then filled him in on the same side, and he threw the ball back to him, and you got me there, mate. Chucked the helmet back, changed his helmet, bent it over, bent it round. Not bent it over, he didn't do any of that. Bent it round, and then I've run it next ball, and I've thought, I've got to try again. Like, to hit him twice would be something special. To hit him once was good. So then ran it next ball, lopped it in halfway down, and you could just see he was stood on his back dog as I started running into bowl, and he's hit this thing. I mean, if there was a net there, it would have cleared out the blinking wheel, Millennium Wheel or whatever it was. It went miles. It would have gone miles, but yeah. So it was an unbelievable few days, like an unbelievable few years it went on for. But that sort of warming up, praying and training with them, and I can remember being sat out on the nursery ground at Lords, and I was sat chatting to like Andrew Flintoff and Andy Flower was the assistant coach at the time, and like all these guys that are just, and you're just having a chat. You walking off, and kids are asking you for autographs because they don't know who you are or aren't, as the case may be. But it's a special place to be when cricket is on Lords, and to be working there. We've got our own changing rooms. We did the ground during Test match. We got to 12th and 13th man. We didn't in that series. England shipped a few blokes in, but like against Pakistan and stuff, some of the lads got to do it. I got to be 13th man in a test against, I can't remember who it was against. I think it was Pakistan, something like that. But like, so you're running out on the field with drinks and stuff, and like it's a sensational place to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of good memories. But
just on that, so obviously you mentioned accountancy. Now, obviously, the only reason that you said that accountancy may be a boring job is because your wife, as Huge and I both know, is an accountant. So that was obviously a personal joke. All accountancy is a fantastic career, as
I agree.
all of us
Absolutely.
on Slogging It would attest.
so that's only because she does your accounts or nothing.
I had a chat with Owen Dawkins, Gloucestershire second team coach, who you played with a lot and spent a lot of time driving to and from games with the other day. He's still astounded that you never managed to secure a contract. You're incredibly well thought of, and we're obviously very talented. I mean, not many blokes, could have a dream of hitting Ricky Ponting with a short one, let alone actually do it. But what were the main reasons for you never actually reaching the kind of peak of your ability?
I've thought about this a lot. Certainly in the run up to doing this podcast, and me and you have written a bit of an article about it, which we might talk about later. But excuse me, I've thought about it a lot, and having a chat with some people and whatnot. Like, I got injured. I got a stress fracture. Well, I had two. I had a stress fracture and then a stress reaction before that. And at that point, people didn't. I think one person I knew, there was a guy called Graham Onions that went on to play for England and Durham, and now plays at Lancashire, I believe. He had one. I believe he had one, and he was the only person that we knew at that time that kind of got through it and learned and whatever. Jimmy Anderson got one a few years later, but you didn't recover. Like, you didn't get back. It was just seen as that was it. You were done as a bowler. And I basically was signed to the MCC for 3 years, and I played 2005, did really well. Was going okay, started getting interested in a few more counties. Start 2006, bosh, this stress reaction hit, and then a stress fracture hit. And that used to be the only blame I had. Like, I used to blame that. A kind of woe is me way of looking at it, like, oh, look at me, unlucky person got injured. Whereas now I look back at it, if I was honestly good enough, honestly, someone would have signed me. If I was that good, someone would have signed me. And that now is the way I look at it. I gave it my best because again, I want to spin around. I gave it my best. I did everything I could. I got fit. I recovered. I managed to get bowling again after the stress fracture, and I did these things that not many bowlers did. But at the end of the day, I wasn't good enough, and I can compute that now. That's fine. in the headspace I'm now at and everything else, that's where I'm at. And so I know people will say, like Dorks, he's an absolute. He gave me my chance at the MCC, and he was an absolute legend. Coached me up, changed my action, helped me out, helped me getting through the stress fractures and reactions and stuff. But it's yeah. At the end of the day, they can spout about injuries and everything all you like. I wasn't good enough. Didn't get enough wickets, and that's a very honest review of it. And that, to be fair, makes me even more grateful of the opportunity I got, because yeah, I'm now, like I say, going back to what I said at the start, I'm now just so pleased and so proud that I got that opportunity to do it. And I gave it everything. I gave it absolutely everything. And you know what? I can look back now and say that and be happy about that and be proud of the fact that I did that. And that's the special thing to be able to say.
As I said before, millions of people will dream of being able to bowl at Ricky Ponting, bowl him a full long half volley outside off stump, let alone hit him. And he must have been at an incredible skill level, to be able to do what you did to him. I mean, we've spoken before a lot about, how you, in your own mind, think that people's perceptions of you changed. So we've often talked about it as, you felt like you went from being Simon Roberts who played cricket to then the cricketer Simon Roberts, and then obviously when things didn't necessarily work out the way that you may have expected or wanted them to, you then had to revert back to being Simon Roberts who used to play cricket. Do you think it was the last of those, the kind of adjustment of being, having to be the man in the crowd again, having, tasted what this life could have been like, and all the great things that would give you, that started to cause your mental situation to degrade a little bit?
I think that's an easy point to look at. Like, getting released is an easy point to look at, but I don't think that was where it started. I think it started at the fact that I became the cricketer Simon Roberts. The fact that step one happened in my own head. I went from I thought it basically became all I was, and I was the cricketing bloke called Simon Roberts, and that was where the issue started. I look back now and go, I know that was where the issue started. I led myself to a point where I had nothing but cricket, and that is a very unhealthy place to be. And so yeah, I wouldn't say step two, getting back out of it, was the problem, because I'll be honest, I don't kind of know how I did get back out of it. I know it took a long time,
mm-hmm.
and it took me talking to people and experiencing a whole heap of rubbish that I did get out of it, but that I can isolate when I got into that point, and I know that was where it started to go wrong. By looking at the cause rather than the effect that then caused something else. I look at it taking it back to the start.
I know you said, I mean, we've had the conversation before that, you perhaps felt that you may have let people down, friends, family, and stuff. There was this expectation on you to be that person from your friendship group or family that went on to do this amazing, have this amazing cricket career. And something that I've said to you is that, as one of your great friends, is that I've always thought that I would never have seen you as anything but Simon. To me, you were never Simon who played cricket. You never were. You never will be. You are, to me, just Simon. Do you think you were ever guilty of perhaps overthinking that a little bit, and maybe thinking something that wasn't there?
Yeah, massively. I'm not saying other things didn't contribute to me thinking like that, but massively it was my internal thing. All of a sudden you think you've got a value, or sorry, that's not the right way of putting it. All of a sudden you think that is your value to the world. Like, a normal healthy person or mentally healthy person will know what they offer the world. They're confident. Me now, I'm confident in what I offer the world, and that's just me. I've got my way of thinking, I've got the way I want to be, and I've got everything else about it. And that, you know what, it's a brilliant place to be. But back then, I thought that what I offered the world, and certainly my friendship group, was the fact I played cricket, the fact I could have these stories about bowling at Ricky Ponting, the fact I could have these stories about bowling at Sachin Tendulkar, the fact I could have all this stuff of playing against these amazing cricketers and doing well and holding my own, and that in your head is then when you go into the pub back home with your mates, who the mistake I made a long time ago was I didn't remain friends with a lot of people I went to school with. I isolated myself to cricket, and so all the people I was friends with and I knew through cricket. So, and they were people who got to higher levels than me. There were people who didn't get to as high levels as me. Excuse me, but they were all through cricket. So the kind of little group that I had that were a group of my golfing mates that I go away with, and this isn't a dig at them in any way, but all they wanted to talk about when I came back from playing cricket was who I've been playing cricket against and what I've been doing and how this had gone. So you just start falling into this routine where when you're not at cricket and not playing cricket, you're only talking about cricket. But when you're at cricket, you're one of the lads and you talk about everything. So you kind of get yourself into this so cricket orientated world where it's all that's going on. It's all that's happening, because when you're there, you're playing it and you're with your mates. And when you're not there, your friends want to talk about it because you're meeting Brian Lara, you're meeting whoever it might be, and you're playing cricket against them and whatever. And so it's where that becomes, although I led it in my own head, and I could have steered that conversation anywhere with my other friends. I could have done whatever. We could have talked about golf. We could have talked about whatever. We could have talked about what beer we're drinking. But I quite enjoyed that. I quite enjoyed that little conversation.
I think that's the difference between a hobby and a job as well, isn't it? Because, you know, your mates at that time, whether they be your golfing buddies or your cricket mates from back home where you play your club cricket, for them, this is something that they look forward to doing all week until they get there at the weekend. And so almost, you know, they're trying to live their lives vicariously through you, and their cricketing dreams vicariously through you as their professional cricketer friend.
Yeah, it's true. It's and it's not a dig at them, and I'm very privileged to have got to have done what I did. I now don't look at it in any other way. Like, so I've said it a few times on this already. I'm very, very lucky to have played cricket in Bangladesh, to have been on pre-season tours to the West Indies, to have done all this kind of stuff. I'm very, very lucky to have done that. And do you know what? If people wanted to talk to me about it, I can understand that. It's like when we were doing the interviews with Max and we're talking to him about their world, and you want to keep talking about it. You want to find out what it's like, because some part of you thinks, "Oh my God, it's amazing." But yeah, it's strange. And I can remember when you talk about being a job, I was having 6 months into my first contract. We were playing against Yorkshire, and a friend of mine from Nottingham who was contracted to us, I called Dave Lucas, walked up to him and went, "Has it become a job yet?" And I was like, "I'm loving this. It can never be a job." And then as things transpired and worked through, and it was like, this is a job. I'm trying to do this as a job. I'm trying to do this to him. And that is a weird place for your head to then be at, because you're sitting there going, I love playing this game and I feel so privileged, but this is about me trying to earn some money and live a life away from it, sort of thing, and be able to do everything that you want. And that's when it can be a bit of a mess around with your mind to get to that.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's so, I wouldn't change it for anything now.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there, Si. So I suppose looking back at those dark times that you were in, I mean, you know, what happened when you were at your lowest?
Without being too miserable, and look, like when you sign your contract, you don't. There's no terms and conditions at the bottom that say, "Oh, within 5 years, there's a chance you might be trying to end your life," because you don't think that's not. I mean, it's not in there. Like, and if it was, I'll be honest, you wouldn't sign it. Sorry, I would still sign it. Like, I'd still sign that contract and I'd still do it because it is amazing. But that's not in there. But that's where it got to. At the end of the day, it got to me trying to take my own life. And talking about it now, I don't want anyone to ever be in that position. I don't like. It's horrible to think that at that point I was feeling like that, because I didn't have a clue how to deal with what I was going through, and I like I said before, I couldn't relate to anyone else that was thinking it. All my cricket mates were still playing cricket, all this was like that, and I thought that was what I was, and so it's now like you just want to kind of look back at it and go, no, it was amazing. It was amazing, and there's so many positives in the world that come out of it, that if you want to look back at the greatest thing that's ever happened to you with negative connotations, like that's that you're struggling, but so it's strange. Like, yeah, it got to the lowest part, as low as anyone can imagine it going, but yeah, I got out of it. I've worked my way through it, and yeah, it took a while, but
and I can tell you that Jono and I are extremely grateful that that's happened, because you're a great mate to us, and I suppose there's a lot more days where we'll talk about the positives of life. But if you were looking back at you've got a lot of friends that are currently still contracted to play cricket. I mean, you'll have some insight into this question. Then, I mean, if we're looking at the current cricketers out there, are they given the right means of coping with the challenges that you faced, in your early career?
I've spoken to some guys, like talking about doing this podcast. I've talking to some fellas, and there is a lot of help. There is a lot of help. I think personally, it's all well and good. Like I said before about the Flintoff Farmers and stuff, it's all well and good these people talking about it. And knowing help's out there is amazing. It's got to be that everybody keeps talking about it. It's got to be that it's talked about at every level of cricket, whether that's an under-16 that's trying to get signed by an academy. I mean, there was that horrible, horrible story the other day of the 17-year-old lad who got released by Manchester City. And I just want, you just want to grab him and go, there is so much joy. Like Toby said, there is so much joy in life that just have a minute. When you're at that point, have a minute and think, and just go, look, there is so much happiness out there in the world. And that's one thing that talking to people can provide. But you talk to someone and they'll talk about a little thing and they'll have a bit of joy in their voice. And you go, oh, actually, yeah, I like that. And then you'll talk to the next person and you go, oh, yeah, that's that. So, sorry, to go back to the question. Yes, I think they are getting a lot more help than I did, which can only be a good thing. But they've got to, that it's just something that's got to keep, and it's got to start coming from people within. It's got to, the PCA can do all their stuff. The PCA can keep sending people down. I'm aware there's people like me that go in and talk to them, and don't get me wrong, I would love to do that. Like, I would love to go into all sports, any sport of whatever kind, and talk to people about my experiences and what went off. But if those lads aren't talking about it between themselves, it ain't going to get anywhere. That's where change can be made. Like, when it's your mate that you're relating to, and he says, oh, I'm struggling, and you go, yeah, so am I, and you can sit there and talk for it, that is where change is made. Change isn't necessarily made, as much as it helps out, by someone that's played 150 times for England, as good as it is, and it is amazing what they do, because these guys can't relate to that. That's their dream. That's still 100 miles away from them.
One of the guests that we've got coming on at some point in the future is a guy called Rob Lynch, who's the CEO of the PCA. And I reached out to him. I've been lucky enough to know him way before he got involved with Middlesex or anything. He's been involved in the cricket community for a long time. Bless you. There's, it'd be really interesting to see the measures that the PCA are taking to try and battle these problems. There are a lot of guys who will play second team cricket and never realise their dream of becoming a fully fledged first class professional cricketer or playing for England, whether that's once or 150 times. We're really looking forward to seeing what Rob Lynch has got to say about that in a few weeks, and what the PCA are offering to pros to kind of help them get through that. What I mean, there's a lot of positives now, and obviously you're getting back into cricket. You've played a little bit over the last couple of years. What is it about Simon Roberts? Sorry to talk about you in the third person, but like current strategy on life, or whatever that has allowed you to get back into cricket and just feel like that is something that you're now able to really enjoy.
I think it's that step of realising that it has brought me a lot of pleasure. It's brought me all my pleasure in life. That sounds a bit dubious, but you know what I mean. It's like I have every single friend I have because of cricket. I have been to 90. Well, my wife's the only one that I haven't, because she hasn't got a clue. But I've been to the majority of countries I've been to in the world, which is quite a few, and a lot of good ones. Not so good ones, but a lot of good ones because of cricket. Whether that be indoor cricket, outdoor cricket, whatever it is. So all the stories, all my life experiences have come through cricket. So why would I not want to carry on? Like I've now got to, like I said earlier, I've got to the point where I don't resent it anymore. I love it. I love talking about it. It's one of the reasons why we do this, and I love being around it. I love what it can give to you. Like the positive sides of what cricket gives to you so outweigh the negatives, and that for me is part of it. And it's been led by, like you say, my friends around me have started asking me to go and play cricket again and get me involved down at the cricket club. And I hate coaching, but I'll go and do it a little bit and I'll help out, mainly because of parents, not kids. Kids are fine. Parents are a pain. But I enjoy it. I enjoy being around cricket. I enjoy having a beer with guys at cricket. I'll go and wander down and watch various games that people I don't even know are playing in, because I know I'll strike up a conversation with people, and you can do that. Cricket as a sport brings people together in such a good way that why would you not want to be a part of it? And that's like Toby was saying the other like Toby was saying the other day when he was talking about sitting around at 3:30 on a Saturday afternoon playing FIFA and eating
in his
chicken.
pants.
Yeah. Like, where's the fun in that? There is no fun. Like, I mean, the wife might disagree when I go sometimes at 9:30 in the morning and don't get back till 10:30. But like, it's
a network, isn't it? Like cricket is a network, and it a lot of us, the three of us, can absolutely relate to the fact that our friendship groups are cricketers and cricketers who play golf. That is just it's something that we've all grown up doing. It's something that we love. It's in our blood. It kind of runs through all three of us and millions of other cricketers out there. There's as a sport and as a pastime, a hobby that we choose to do. I don't think there's another sport that can match it. You have to spend so much time together as a group, that it's phenomenal. I mean, what, just to finally touch on this, like looking back, what advice would you give to Simon Roberts in that first year or second or third year of that YCC contract that you had? Would you do anything differently?
I wouldn't let step one take place. Although I think that might have been odd, because, like I say, it took off. Cricket went from being that kind of average sport that was on in the summer, that the odd football fan went to watch at Edgbaston and Trent Bridge because it was half decent atmosphere, to, because England were rubbish before then. As Max said, Max and Toby said the other week, like, England were rubbish. But then all of a sudden 2005 kicked off. So I'd say find out who you are. Like, and don't make. I've read a really interesting article, and it was when the BLM stuff kicked off this summer, and it was from a running back. I can't remember his name, and he was going around to towns and houses and stuff and doing all this, helping people out and promoting the BLM stuff and explaining it to people when all lives matter crap was kicking off. And he went, no, this is what we're trying to do, and he was trying to explain it. And then people threw at him, and he went, yeah, but you're a running back in the NFL, you've got this. And he went, yeah, I'm a running back, that's what I do for a living, it doesn't define me. And that for me resonated massively, because not letting cricket define you is the key. Like, win, lose, yeah, do your best, try and get better, be professional, do everything like that, but you've got to have something outside of it where you can get away and switch off. And that is would be what I'd say. Like I'd say to any young person in sport, and I know I'd say to parents, I'd say to young coaches, let people get away. This idea of football clubs now, when they're getting kids in at 9 years old and they're training them 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times a week, and you stood there going, just let the person be a kid. Let the 18-year-old grow up. Let him go out. Let him do all this stuff, because what that brings to your life as a whole is so much more than missing it, than one additional fitness session or one additional training session here, that unless it's being run by, I don't know, Alan Donald in my case, like it's not worth it. It's find a balance and get a routine. That's what I would say.
Yeah, definitely. So it's been an absolutely it's been an educational conversation that we've had over the past half an hour or so. And one of the big reasons that we've come up with slogging is specifically talking about the challenges that you've been through, as well as other cricketers. I mean, if you had to look at the podcast as a whole, what do you want it to achieve? If you could summarize that into a couple of sentences.
I just want it to help people. I want it to be informative, and I want it to help people. If we can stop one person from thinking the thoughts that I thought, if we can get one friend to ask his mate, is he okay? If we can do that to one person, then we've done well. Like that's I think that's mission accomplished. If we can do it to more than that, even better. I just want people to realise that life is quite good.
There's always light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah. There's
Simon, look, thank you. Huge and I have been privy to this story, for a while, but we know it's not an easy thing for you to discuss, and so it's amazing that you're willing to do that with such, an infinite audience, I guess, through putting this out on a podcast. So well done, massive kudos to you for doing that and being so open about it, and and for the sole reason of trying to highlight the fact that there is always help available for people, and that there is always a way out. To go back to a slightly lighter side, now is the time for us to take some money off you. So, all on behalf of the Lord's Taverners. So, for those people who have decided to watch this on YouTube, you will now see me and Eugene play rock, paper, scissors for who has to match Simon's donation. So, it's 1, 2, 3, then go, yeah? Right.
Got it.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, I won scissors the other way. Yes,
unbelievable.
Right, brilliant.
I'll tell you what, if there's not a delay on Eugene's video feed, he wants stabbing, because he went at least 4 to 5 seconds after John and then still lost.
Amazing, brilliant. Right, so I'm going to ask the questions. Eugene's decided the questions, so I'm going to ask them. And as always, 5 questions, £2 each. Eugene, tonight will have to match your contribution to the Lord's Taverners. So, question number 1. What are Eugene Burge's best ever bowling figures?
I didn't even know he bowled.
Neither did he.
I know he's got an international batting average of 45.
67.
In which case, we need to sort out that sponsorship document. You've got it wrong. As a kid, it's got to be as a kid. 4 for 29.
Unlucky. It was an adult, and it was 4 for 3. What are my best ever bowling figures? According to Play Cricket, all of this is, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
See, I know you could bowl. Still can bowl if anyone playing Papua Columbia second team next year is listening. 6 for 11.
6 for 56.
He's got the wickets right in both of them.
He's got the wickets right, yeah, both of them, yeah. What is Eugene's highest ever score according to Play Cricket?
Oh, 126.
142. £6.
That's not bad still.
What's my top score according to Play Cricket?
Judging by the strength of our advertising picture, 49.
145. Thank you. I mean, what I've taken from this is both my bowling and batting best ever numbers are better than Euge's, which I'm really happy with. And finally, so you're £8 in and Euge's £8 in. What percentage of runs have you, Simon Roberts, scored for all teams ever as an average that you've played in?
7.
4.31. So that's £20 flying its way to the Lord Taverners. I think we'll blow over that quite quickly. But again, Di, what an interview. Thanks for doing that, mate. Euge and I appreciate it massively. No doubt the listeners will all, have taken something from it, and we'll all congratulate you. So on behalf of them as well, we thank you for doing that.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And now hear a note from our sponsors, Woodstock Cricket.
Looking for a new cricket equipment partner for yourself or your club can sometimes be tricky. With so many options to choose from, how do you make the right choice? When you want quality, value and service, there really is only one place to start. For more than a decade, Woodstock Cricket have been producing award-winning, high-performance cricket bats from their Shropshire workshop. Matched with their classy soft goods, luggage and accessories, Woodstock Cricket really do tick all the boxes. Get in touch with Woodstock Cricket and find out why many loyal clubs, players and international customers can't be wrong at info@woodstockcricket.co.uk.
So yeah, guys, thank you again, Simon, for doing that. That's fantastic. Obviously, you've just heard a note from our sponsors, Woodstock Cricket, which is great. Thank you again to them for their support. I'm proudly wearing one of their new limited edition hoodies, which are incredibly comfortable, I must add. But yeah, just before we finish, lads, about another 10-15 minutes left. What are you guys most looking forward to coming out of lockdown? Obviously, that's due to finish next week.
Playing golf is my
Correct.
thing. Yeah, definitely getting out on the golf course and being able to have a wander around a fat, thin.
I was going to say it's more getting out on the golf course than playing golf, isn't it? Playing golf's very much inverted commas.
Yeah, definitely. But that's sort of what I'm looking forward to. I quite like going to the pub with my friends as well. So that'll be something that'll be lovely. Maybe we could all have a get together. We've done the majority of this in lockdown, and you never know, in the future we might be able to do
see
something
each other and have a drink.
Yeah, that'd be quite nice. So yeah, there's a couple of things.
Huge.
I hate to admit it, but yeah, I'm probably also looking forward to golf. Just before lockdown, I really got into golf, and I have to say, anybody that's actually played golf with me, I am the fairest of fair weather golfers. If there's the drop of rain or the slightest breeze of wind, I am absolutely not playing golf. However, given the current circumstances, I've tried to play as much golf as possible, and I actually played the 3 days before lockdown. So I think I played the Sunday, the Monday, and the Tuesday before we went into lockdown, trying to squeeze in as much as I could. But yeah, I suppose that's it. I probably won't go to the pub just because I'm a little bit scared of COVID. I'm an old man now. I don't want to catch it and have something bad happen. So yeah, I'm probably going to stay in my own confines of my house and maybe just do some golf, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of maybe with you a little bit on you. I'd kind of keep myself to myself, I think, for the time being until we're kind of clear of it. The one thing that I'm determined to do is try and have a proper cricket season next year, and so God willing, that can be something that we can all look forward to. We touched on earlier on at the start, before the interview we did with Simon, about audience engagement. So something that we want to challenge our listeners to send us stuff about. So info@sloggingit.co.uk is the email address to send these stories to. Playing cricket against celebrities. the most random stories that you can think of. We just want to know: have you ever played? I know Piers Morgan's a massive cricket fan. I once played in a game with Mark Little, who's that Australian guy who was in Neighbours for God knows
Joe
how long
Mangle?
years. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, played Joe in
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable in Neighbours, useless at cricket, but what a champion! Absolute beauty.
I can't believe Piers Morgan, of all people, got mentioned before Joe Mangle.
Well, yeah,
Unbelievable.
Piers massively into cricket. He's got a club down in
It
Sussex.
looked like it when he was facing Brett Lee.
Yeah, slight difference. I think we might look like that against Brett Lee, and we've played a fair bit of cricket between the three of us. But
Mate, you can't look like that in a proper game when you stood on the umpire's toes at square leg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm just trying to guide him through backward point.
Piers Morgan with his arse on the net at leg side. But yeah, so what that's going to lead on to, so Woodstock as our sponsors have agreed that the best celebrity cricketing story that we receive, Woodstock have kindly offered to put up a Grade 1 cricket bat. Of the listener, the winner's choice, though, I think there are 5 different profile options available that Woodstock do. There'll be a platinum Woodstock cricket bat available for the best story. So get your thinking caps on. We will somehow have to, I guess, figure out whether these stories have got any kind of truth behind them or not. So we might have to do some play cricket diving or what have you.
Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, John. I keep saying that.
If a listener comes up with an absolute belter, I'm pretty sure we can think of something.
Oh, what do you remember? You remember seeing that thing about? I think Kim Jong Un said that he played against Portugal, scored 630 in the first innings, took 20 wickets in the match, and 1,000.
I do remember that.
In the second innings. And what we don't want is some listener going, "Oh, I played in that game."
They've got to be more creative than finding a game on Play Cricket.
Yeah.
Say, hello, yes, my name is whoever, and I played against. Let's make it some. Has it just got to be playing against them, or can we have some funny stories from like meeting celebrities at cricket?
Yeah, absolutely,
all that kind of stuff.
And then trying to put a timestamp on that, Jono. When do we want to announce that? Are we going to do that maybe on the 10th of December, just before Christmas? So give the listeners what this is coming out on, I think, a Thursday. Can't remember which Thursday it is right now, but I think it'll give listeners 2 weeks to email into info@sloggingit.co.uk.
Absolutely. So 2 weeks, brilliant. And then, we will pick the winner and then put you in touch with Woodstock Cricket, and then from there you can claim your prize. Guys, look, thanks again for listening, engaging with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate us. We are available now widely across all the popular podcast platforms.
And YouTube.
And YouTube, don't forget YouTube. That's an amazing thing. That's written right in front of my eyes, and I still forgot to say it, such is the level of my hosting ability or lack thereof. But look, we're loving having you involved. Looking forward to having you guys more involved, helping us shape what Slogging It is going to be moving forwards. Thanks again to Eugene Berger.
Thank you, Jono, and more importantly, thank you, Simon, for your contribution. It's been great. It was a great conversation, and hopefully, as you say, we are going to affect people that listen to this in a positive way.
Si, thanks again from me. Massive bravery, I think, for you to come on and talk about that in such an open forum. Hopefully, it will offer those listening to it who are maybe going through or facing similar issues the view that things aren't always as bad as they may seem. So, massive kudos to you again, mate.
Absolutely. Anytime. Just one thing I would say, if anyone's listening and feels like they're going to, DM us, send us messages. You've got all sorts of emails and whatever that you want to use, but we're all 3 of us are quite active on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and the Slogging It page or whatever. If anyone's listening and thinks, I'm just going to send someone a message, ping it as we will respond. I've vouched how we will respond, and we will just chat to you, do whatever you want us to do, really. So and that is an absolute pleasure. And like I say, if I can help one person, then that would be tremendous.
Yeah, guys, never be afraid to get in touch. This is a podcast by cricketers for cricketers. As Simon says, get in touch. Never be afraid to do that. we are ears to hear your story if you choose to entrust us with that. So until next time, thanks again, guys. To you two, thanks again, and can't wait for next week. Cheers.
Thanks, John. Cheers, guys. Just like.
Thanks, John.